Jassim. Okay, what's he got? D4. Let's see, I think it's time to play a Slav if we can get to it. Yeah, Slav defense. Oh, he allows me to play the Winawer gambit. Well, I have to play it. It's not that it's so great, but it's not losing. It's interesting. White, if White plays this correctly, he gets quite a few moves of development here. I get my pawn back, but and you know this advanced pawn is a bit annoying, and I think this move is a mistake. Normally they just retreat the knight and then bring the other knight out, gaining another tempo on the queen. But defending the knight there allows this pin, and the check here I take with the queen, defending my bishop, so he can't do some discovered attack on my bishop, and I can even keep piling up on the knight like this. So I've seen this position before, and I think it's good to this point. We'll see what White comes up with here, and I'll try and slow down. I've been playing too fast recently, so slow down and look at the board. But I have seen this position before. Okay, so he's just countering my pawn in the center. He's not trying to win it, he's just trading it off. If I take and he takes, and I take the knight, he takes and I take back. Doesn't this just win a pawn? Ah, and he found an intermediate move. Okay. So he's attacking my queen. If I take the knight, which attacks his queen, he takes my queen, I take his queen. I'm a piece up. Right now the pieces are even, right? 4 pieces to 4 pieces. So I take his knight, he takes my queen, I take his queen. I'm a piece up, and I don't have anything hanging. So when I take his knight, he has to take back. And I can do the same thing again. I can take this pawn. If he trades queens, that's okay. If he takes my knight, I take his queen. Yeah, so it looks like I managed to pick up a couple pawns here because of the way that White played it, unless there's some other move with the queen that's really good. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad. So just drop back, defending the knight. I mean, I don't have to defend the knight because I haven't committed to castling one side or the other, but it makes sense to defend the knight. And then take some time and develop some pieces, see if he has enough play. He's got the bishop pair. And rapid development. Okay, so if I bring my bishop out here, it's subject to tempo gaining moves like pawn to c4. If I place my bishop on, pawn to c5. If I place my bishop on c5, he can play pawn to b4, kicking my bishop. Chase it all around. But I like bishop to c5 a little bit. Let's think about this. Bishop c5, pawn b4, bishop back. Can push this pawn all the way to c5, and I drop the bishop to c2. It guards this d8 square. It's no longer guarding this knight, but it's not a bad square for the bishop. And I'll be able to castle. So he decided to go ahead and get his development on too. That makes sense. I'm going to castle here. Let's see. He can play knight to g4, hitting my queen after I castle. I move the queen, and then he can actually take on h2, or h7. So it's knight g5, so I actually have to take a move out here and stop knight g5. I believe that's necessary, and then I can castle. And then the last stage will be getting this other knight out. Maybe he didn't want to push these pawns. I mean, the downside of pushing those pawns is that it weakens the king. Okay, so what here? I take the knight. It takes with the bishop. And I develop and bring a rook here. I mean, it's 2 knights versus 2 bishops, but I have the extra pawns. Or I move the queen. And the queen's a little short of squares. Let's get rid of the knight. Get rid of his developed piece and then try and develop my knight. And get my rook to the d file. Okay, so he gets to round up one of those pawns. I can't really blame him for wanting to do that. If he takes with a rook, where does my queen go? Maybe here? I'm going to put a rook on the... I'm going to put a rook on the e file anyway. And then play here, hitting his bishop. It's a little bit awkward. I think he has to take my rook and then retreat his bishop. Because otherwise his bishop is hanging, and if the bishop moves, the rook is hanging. The bishop has no good moves that defend the rook. Knight's covering these squares, if nothing else. And then he retreats the bishop. Okay, so I can pile up on his other bishop. And I have a check over here with the queen if I need to use it. Like here, maybe this would be a good time to use it. Or not. The knight takes the bishop with check. So we'd be left with just bishop versus knight, and I have a pawn up. And I am still a pawn up. So queen has to move. I do have the check. And the rook can't go to the back rank because the bishop is guarding there. Still, it seems like a good way to get my queen out of a spot of trouble there. Let's see. This knight is guarding the entry point for his rook. The bishop can still take my knight anytime. So let's try and activate my knight. But the knight is guarding that entry point, as I was saying at the beginning. Yeah, so I was thinking of lining up my queen and rook here, looking at this pawn, and it looks like a good centralizing move. Let's see. I can take this pawn on c4, right? Bishop takes knight. I just take the queen with check and then take the bishop back. I guess I should do that. Okay, that came with the check. The check was a fork. I hadn't noticed that till I got to this position. So then the queen is going to come back to e6, I guess, defending the knight. And we'll go from there. Now the knight has a good square to go to on d5. Yeah, kicking the queen first. Okay, so I did kind of want to go here anyway. Stay off the dark squares where his bishop can cause trouble. But the lineup of the queen and the rook, you can't really oppose the queen here. And now I'm start maneuvering with my knight to try and improve my position somehow. Yeah, you notice that I have been playing these knee-jerk reactions. I made that move. I stopped to think about it before letting go. But yeah, bad play on my part. So there's a fork here, but his bishop is covering it. There is knight here is not good. Right, he can just take it. So I think he wants to push these pawns forward and try and wreck my king side, which makes sense. Maybe I start with this move. I'm threatening to come into the back rank here. He can't move the bishop with check. Well, my queen's defended anyway, but I'm thinking, go to f1 here and then bring the rook down to the second rank, or maybe go over to g2. f1 is with check. What will he play? King up? Maybe just go to g2 because it hits that pawn. And if he takes with the bishop, I'll probably trade queens. So he takes with the pawn. Now I've got a pin on that bishop. I mean, the bishop is well defended, I guess, but it means that I can play moves like knight to b4. I could play right now, but he could take here with check. So the question is, do I want to... yeah, I think I want to take that. This will keep my king a little bit safer. And now knight to b4 is a big threat. Shouldn't be too eager to play knight b4 because after the check here, my king is exposed and who knows what's going on. So I can still play knight takes b4 now because he can't really afford to take it with his bishop. And this looks fatal. Oh, he's got a check. Okay. Not entirely fatal. Did he? Yeah, I guess he figured this one out. Once again, I moved too fast. So the problem is I'm going to put my king here. He's going to trade queens with check, and then he's going to take my knight. Huh. Didn't see a way out of that. So what is this? I've got 5 pawns to 1, but he has the bishop. Okay, I need to start those pawns rolling. He can start taking the pawns, especially on the back rank there. This one is pretty safe. If I push these pawns on the queen side towards his king, maybe try and chase the bishop around a little bit. Keep his king out of the game, so keep my rook up here. Try and move these pawns forward. Although I may have to bring my rook back to defend. I mean, that's a definite possibility. I'm going to see how far I can get with these pawns to start with. Well, if he does that, I will accept a trade here. He did get my rook back. If he just retreats his rook now. Okay, so it's 5 pawns against bishop and pawn. And the pawns are separated, so this should be... Have to get the pawns advanced on both sides. This should be good for me. Okay, I may be sacrificing that pawn. I couldn't get my king to that square in time. So now he's in a hurry to win these last pawns. Oh, he's not. Okay, I can play one more move here then. And I can kick the bishop. And then I can actually just win with the pawns. His king is too far. So this is how the pawns went against the bishop. Nice little endgame lesson there. Okay, let's just come on back. Let's see, I'll bring my king in on the light squares. A queen against a bishop, even without the pawns, is a pretty straightforward win. The bishop is not a very good defender of the king. It's actually harder with the knight, but I should be able to demonstrate how to win with the queen against a king and a bishop. Well, he's got this pawn here, which is a bit annoying. Maybe I have to bring my pawns forward. Well, he's got to move his bishop out of the way now. Or I can win it like this. One of the ways that a queen can defeat a king and a pawn. Let's see. So check here. He decided to resign. Yeah, I think I could figure out a checkmate here before too long. Anyway, interesting game. I guess I will upload this and see you guys later. Bye.